Hello, in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a payroll for a company. First of all, let's find out what a payroll is, just in case you don't know. A payroll is a system which allows users to basically create some records on how many employees work for the company, how much money each employee is making, how much tax they have to pay, how many holidays they're entitled to, and so on and so forth. So we need to make this payroll system to have in such a way, we need to create in such a way that it contains quite a lot of information, but we only need to extract a little bit of information of all this information we have to include within the payroll. The reason for this is because information is very important for us to have, but if we give too much information on the payslip for our members of staff, this will make things confusing for them. And if they're getting confused, they will ask questions. And if they ask questions, they're wasting our time. So it is important for us to actually balance this while we create in a payroll. So to get started, I need to create the main menu. So the home screen. So I'm going to go here on the sheet 1 and I'm going to type here home. Or you can call this main menu. Let's call it main menu, in fact. Main menu. Okay. Within our main menu, we want to have a number of buttons and a title. So we want to keep things simple. So I don't want to see these little boxes because I'm developing a software. I want to make it attractive. So I'm going to click here on the top left corner once, and I'm just going to change the color, the background color, to something light, but something that relates to my company. So if your company doesn't have specific colors, then you can always use the light gray. If your company has specific color, you can actually use the color that the company uses, but try to make it light. So I need to make it a bit more light than that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select more colors, and I'm just going to increase a little bit here, make it a bit lighter. I'm going to make it orangey. You can click here a little bit. Okay, yellowishy. Okay, so make it a little bit of light. So again, it's not tiring on the eyes, because your HR, the people, or your accountant, the people who will be using the system, they're going to be spending hours and hours in front of this system. You want light colors. You don't want bright colors. Because bright colors will basically tire the users a lot quicker. Okay, the next thing we need to do is highlight a number of cells here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge the cells. So to merge the cells, what you do, you highlight the amount of cells that you would like to merge. And then you click here on this option. Bear in mind, I'm on the Home tab. You click on the top here, drop down the list, and you select Merge Cells. Now, all these cells will act as one cell. What I need to do now, I need to change the alignment. So I'm going to set to center align, and the vertical alignment to center as well. So I'm going to start typing now. My company, Alpha Design. So I'm creating this payroll for Alpha Design, and I will say payroll. Now, I'm going to select this. I'm going to center align this text, and I'm going to change the size by clicking here. I could actually increase the font size. I can change the font style. I can make it bold. Okay, the font style that I have selected doesn't, okay, it's bold already. Okay. I could make it underlined, and I could actually change the color slightly to, again, something that will be easy on the eyes. try to stick with one or two colors or variation of the same color. Again, this will make your design look a lot more professional, and also again, it's going to be easier for the brain to register, and as a result, your brain will not, the user's brain will not work too hard. For example, if I change the color, if I make this red, bright red, and I make these cells bright red, and I make these cells bright blue, and I make these cells. So as you can see, as soon as I start introducing too many colors, my software will look cheap and nasty basically. So what I'm going to show you another tool now. So what I'm going to do, I want to take back what I've done instead of actually Control Z to undo or use the undo button here. I'm just going to click on the format that I'm happy with. Then I'm going to click once on the format painter brush, and then I'm going to click and drag to basically change the colors of the cells. And if I've missed something, I can always click here, click again the format painter brush, and highlight the cells, and I'm going back to square one. Okay, the next thing I need to do is add few buttons. Few buttons to navigate throughout my system. But before I do that, I need to create the locations for where the buttons will go. Now I can click here to actually add a new sheet. But what I can do also, if I right click here and select delete, I could right click here and then select move or copy. And then I could actually say move, and I'm going to name, it's going to be book, okay, move, create a copy. Sorry, I'm going to select main menu, I'm going to select create a copy. Okay, so I've got main menu 2 now. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to create another copy. Move or make copy. And I'm going to do this again. Move or make copy. And I'm going to do this one more time. The only thing I need to do now, I need to click and drag my main menu, the original one, back to the beginning. The second worksheet, I'm going to double click here to rename it, or I can right click here and select rename. And I'm going to rename this employees. The next one, I'm going to right click, I'm going to select rename, and I'm going to call it payslip. The next one, I'm going to right click. Let's not put spaces. Payslip. And I'm going to right click here on the main menu, rename. Let's not put spaces. I'm going to right click here. The reason why I'm not is not advisory to put spaces. Try to avoid to put spaces, because as we're going to start programming later on, we're going to have some issues with spaces. So it's good practice. So what we're going to do now, we're going to rename that one, and I'm going to call this payroll. And finally, I'm going to right click, rename this, and call this rates. In fact, I'm going to create another one more. Move or copy. Create a copy. And I'm going to click and drag this to the end. And I'm just going to rename this as notes. Notes. Now, the notes will be visible for all the staff. So if a member of staff take over, or is on the maternity leave, or if is it on paternity leave, or if he's on holiday, the notes will basically give some instructions on certain things that needs to be done by the new member of staff or whoever is actually covering the payroll system. Okay, the next thing we need to do is go to the main menu and create the main menu screen. I'm going to go to Insert, select Shapes, if I can find them. Okay, Illustration, click on Illustrations. If your resolution is quite big, it will be, the shapes will be on the Illustrations. So click on Illustrations and click Shapes. Then I'm going to put a fancy buttons here. Let's use, I'll use that one here. And I'm going to click and drag to add a shape. The first thing I need to do is just customize this button before I actually start making all the other buttons for the other tabs, for the other worksheets. So let's change the color to something that is similar to this. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click here just to pick up the color. Okay. Let's use that. I think this is the color. Yeah. And like I said before, we need to stick to make sure that we don't introduce too many colors. So I've got a border here, so I'm going to double click on this shape to take me to the shape format tab. So here I need, as you can see, I've got a blue border. It doesn't match. So I'm going to make the border a bit lighter. Maybe something like that. Again, I'm sticking to the same variation. I'm going to increase the weight of the border. And also I'm going to change the shape effects. Let's see. Okay. This will do. Let's see if we can actually add bevel. Okay. So now I'm gonna be able to start typing employees, basically the sheets that I've got, the worksheets that I've got. So the first one is employees. So I need to make sure that the text is fully customized. I'm going to increase the size. I'll make it bold. I'll make it italic. I'm going to center align it. I'm going to change the font color to, again, similar style. So I'm not going to introduce too many colors. I'm using one color and I'm using or two colors. I'm using variation of these colors. Again, the idea is to go to easy to the eye for the brain to register. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click once on the shape. I'm going to hold the Control and the Shift key on the keyboard, and I'm going to click and drag. As you can see, if I go up and down on my mouse, it doesn't go anywhere. This is because I'm holding the Shift key down. If I don't hold the Shift key down, my button will go all over the place. And then my button, then I have to mess about. Oops. I have to mess about then to actually try to move the button to the right location. So don't do this. You're wasting your time. So delete that. If you've done this by accident, delete that. Click on the original shape again. Make sure that you are fully satisfied and happy with the shape and the text and the font size and everything. And then, and only then, click on the shape, hold the Control and the Shift key on the keyboard, and then click and drag. And as you can see now, my shape is in exactly the same position and is exactly the same size. Now, if the shape, because I'm gonna do 5 buttons there, so it is important for me to concentrate on the first 3 to make sure that I'm gonna leave similar gap. So I've got a cross here, my mouse cursor is turned into a cross here, as you can see, and it's basically the cross is giving only tiny little gap there. So if I move my mouse cursor around again, yeah, here, the cross, okay, let's use this cross there. Okay, so the cross is, I can use the cross as a guidance. So the arrow on the left is within the shape. So if I go here and say, okay, the arrow is within the shape as well. So I'm not far off now. I'm pretty sure that it's exactly the same position, the same distance in between these two buttons and these two buttons. And if I click away, the human eye can actually not spot the difference now. So it's in exactly the same position. Now I have done this, I need two more buttons. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this button, hold the shift key down on my keyboard, click on the second button, and then I'm going to hold the control and the shift key down and then click and drag to go to the side, to the other side as well. And then I'm going to release, and then I'm going to measure if my distance is the same. So it's pretty much the same, which means I can deselect, and I've got my menu. Now I've got my menu here. I can see my payroll, Alpha Design Payroll, is a bit to the left. This is because of my cells here. So what I will need to do, as you can see here, I've got a gap here. So I need to make sure that I've got the same similar gap here. So I'm going to highlight these cells, and I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to go to here to the merge cells and click once. And what this will do is going to remove the merge cell functionality I had before. But if I do it one more time, it's going to reapply it. But this time with taking over the whole area that I've selected. Now, because I want to make sure that this distance here is similar to the distance here, what I need to do, I need to click and drag the letter N so I can actually change the distance to similar distance. So I now know that this is exactly bang in the middle. If no, just play around a little bit with this option there. Okay. You're not going to be perfect, but as soon as you put it closer to, then your design will look more professional. So this is the welcome screen now. So this is the main menu. So I'm just gonna, now have done that, I'm ready now to actually change the name. So I'm just gonna call this payslip. And now I can actually put spaces. Payroll. Rates. And notes. Okay. The next thing we need to do is create macros. Macros will allow us basically to program within a program. What we do, we use a VBA code, Visual Basic for Application. So in order to record macros, the process is pretty straightforward, but what we will need to do is open the Developers tab. By default, your Microsoft Excel will not display the Developers tab. To display the Developers tab, to be able to see the Developers tab, you need to go to the File, select Options, so scroll down, select Options, select Customize Ribbon, and then make sure you have selected, check the box that says Developer. Click OK, and then the Developers tab will be visible now. Okay, the next thing we need to do is click to create a macro. I'm going to click Record Macro, and I'm going to call this macro MCR Employees. Employees. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go to the Employees worksheet, and then I'm going to stop the macro. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the main menu. I'm going to right click on the Employees button, and then I'm going to select Assign Macro. And from the Assign Macro option, I will be able to see MCR Employees. Click OK. Now, every time somebody clicks on this button, as you can see, the mouse cursor changes to a hand, where here it doesn't, because that one, this button doesn't have, or this button, or this button, or this button, they don't have macros. However, this button has a macro, and if I click on it, it takes me to the employees worksheet. We're gonna do the same thing for the rest of the buttons. We're gonna first of all, we're gonna select the button. Sorry, we're gonna click anywhere on the worksheet. We're gonna record a macro. I'm gonna call this macro MCR payslip. Payslip. Click OK. Now I'm gonna go to the payslip, and then I'm gonna stop the macro. I'm gonna go back to the main menu. I'm gonna right click here, select assign macro, MCR payslip. OK. Now my payslip will take me to my payslip. So what I will need to do here, I need to basically change this to payslip. In fact, I'll leave the title as it is. In fact, we'll customize this after because we don't want to waste time. Okay. So the next one is main menu. I need to go to the payroll, create a macro for payroll now. So I'm going to click on record macro. I'm going to call it MCR payroll. Click OK. I'm going to go to the payroll, select stop, go back to the main menu, right click on the payroll button, assign macro, MCR payroll. Click OK. I'm going to create now another button for the rates. So I'm going to record macro. I'm going to call it MCR rates. MCR stands for, is short for macro. Click OK. I'm going to go to the rates, stop the macro, go back to the main menu, right click on the rates, select assign macro, MCR macro rates, click OK. Finally, I'm going to go to create another macro. I'm going to call this MCR nodes. Click OK. Click on the nodes. Click stop recording macro. Go back to the main menu, right click, assign macro, and select MCR nodes. By doing this now, we can actually go to the employees. We can go to the payslip. We can go to payroll. We can go to rates. We can go to nodes. Okay. So what I need to do now, I need to basically go here and customize this page now, because this page will be different to the other pages, but in some respect will be similar, but it will be completely different to the main menu. So what I will need to do here, I need to create a button that takes me home to the back to the main menu. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to right click here, one of the buttons. I'm going to select, I'm going to right click here. I'm going to select copy, and I'm going to go here on the employees. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select paste. Okay. So I'm going to right click here and then click once again just to move this around. And I'm just going to call this home or main menu. Okay. So I'm calling this main menu. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create now another macro, record macro. I'm going to call this MCR main menu. Click OK. I'm going to go to the main menu and I'm going to stop the macro. So if I go here now, right click, right click, I'm going to assign a macro, and I'm going to change that the current macro to MCR main menu. Click OK. So here now, I need to customize a little bit the header. So I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. So I'm going to go to the Home tab and press the Merge Cells button. So this is where the information comes from. So I need to make this a bit smaller. Maybe that's that big, that this will do. So I'm going to click merge cells. I'm going to lower a little bit the font, okay, to have the payslip there. Then just straight below it, I'm going to put another, I'm going to highlight these cells. Let's see how far I go. We'll go up to J. So I'm highlighting all these cells. And I'm going to select merge. And here I'm going to type employees. I'm going to click here to find out the size of the font. I'm going to click here. I'm just going to change the font size to 18 to just keep it similar to the above. In fact, let's make it a bit smaller. So that's the system, and we are on the employees. And we can actually change the font, make it a bit more, stand out a bit more. This is where you spend a bit of time to make sure that this is the way you want it. So I'm using Arial Black. It's most likely for people to actually have Arial Black on their computers anyway. So if you use a different computer, maybe your system, if your system doesn't have the font, it's going to revert to the original font, the default font, sorry. So Arial Black is quite standard this font that the majority of the computers have. Okay, so as you can see here, I've changed this to Arial Black. So I'm going to click here once, right click, sorry, once. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to basically right click on the other buttons as well. I'm just going to change the font to Arial Black as well. I'll try to keep consistency on the fonts. Let's remove the italic there. Okay. So let's go here. All right. So let's do that one as well. So because I've applied a macro, don't left click, right click to select it, and then left click. Otherwise, it will activate the macro. So I'm gonna go to Arial Black here, right click again and click again. I'm just gonna remove the italic part. Oops. Let's click again. I'm gonna remove the italic part. Okay, so I've got consistency. Now this button can actually go a bit to the right. In fact, no, let's leave it there. Or let's put it to the top left. It is important to keep consistency. Make sure you're fully satisfied with the version that you have before you start replicating. Now I'm happy with that. I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to Control-C to copy. I'm going to go to the payslip. I'm going to highlight everything, Control-V to paste. The only thing I need to do now is do that for the rest of the worksheets. Click on the top left, Control-V to paste. Click on the top left, Control-V to paste. And this will save you time. And the only thing you need to do now is double click here and change the name to notes. I'm going to go to the rates. I'm going to change this to rates. I'm going to go to the payroll. I'll change this to payroll. I'm going to go to the payslip. Change this to a payslip. And I'm going to go here and I've got the employees here. So if I go now to the main menu and click away, I'll go to employees, I'll go back to the main menu, I'll go to the payslip, I'll go back to the main menu, I'll go to the payroll, I'll go back to the main menu, I'll go to rates, go back to the main menu, and I'll go to notes, then go back to the main menu. So this video tutorial allowed you to basically see how to create a nice and attractive design by using Microsoft Excel, which will allow you to create macros and navigate from one worksheet to another. Okay, in the next video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to basically complete the employees section. And then in every single tutorial from now on, I'm going to show you how to basically complete each one of these tabs. Apart from the notes. The notes will be just here. Let's put here some notes so we can actually do the notes now. So I'm going to put here, I'm going to merge, in fact, I'm going to merge the cells here. I'm going to change the background color to this. I'm going to merge the cells. I'm just going to type here notes. I'm going to change the font size and the font color. Let's make it bold. Let's stick to the Arial black. And I'm going to highlight these cells now. I'm going to merge them. I'm just going to change the background color to white. And this will allow people now to add some notes. I need to change the alignment. I'm going to make it left and top. And people can actually start typing some notes there. As you can see, I'm missing some text now. So what I will need to do is right click here and select format cell. And then select, where is it? Alignment. And then I'm going to select wrap text. Click OK. And now when I actually go to the end of the line, the text will continue just below it. Okay, so these are the notes. We can delete this. This is only for notes. I'm going to go to File, select Save As. I'm just going to call this Payroll. And click OK, save. Features cannot save. Okay, as you can see here, is giving me a warning. Yeah, make sure, because I'm using macros. Make sure, very valid point. I almost forgot. Before you save it, make sure on the Save As type you drop down the list and you select Excel Macro Enable. If you don't select this option and you save your project, all the macros we created will disappear next time we open the project. So click Save. I'm going to close this project now. I'm going to open a, and here it is. I'm going to enable the content, and if I click on my main menu, all my buttons work fine. All my macros are functioning. And in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to complete the employees table. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something new today. I hope you will be able to apply these new skills that you have learned into your project to make your project a lot more attractive than I have made mine. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.